Any additions? Deletions?
No, sir. Not by me.
I'm good.
Okay. Approval of August 16th minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. The Public Works Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On August 16th of this year, this committee met and we discussed a drainage issue at 46 Raymond Finch. At that meeting, this committee directed staff to look into alternatives and solutions for that drainage issue. I contacted Carlisle Associates, an engineering firm, to look at the drainage issue on site. I have Mr. Gene Resch here to present his findings and answer any questions. Mr. Resch?
Good evening.
Hey.
My name is Gene Resch. I'm with Carlisle Associates out of Columbia. I went and looked at the property, and it appeared that from looking at topographic maps, old topographic maps, and what I saw on the site, it appeared that the residents or the resident there had built a shed, basically, or a storage barn, or I'm not sure what you call it, a shed of some sort, where the ditch used to be, and the 24-inch pipe basically discharges right into that shed, and a ditch had been cut around the property, around that shed, going down to the back of the property to the lake. The ditch varied in depth, probably starting out just a couple feet deep at the 24-inch pipe coming underneath Raymond Finch Road, and then getting deeper as it turned the corner, probably around 6 feet deep or so at the corner, at the deepest point, and then went on down to the lake and got a little shallower as you got down closer to the lake. When I was there, the ditch was just basically vertical walls cut with a backhoe or something, probably 2 to 3 feet wide, and discharging down to the lake. There was no seeding on it, no grass growing or anything.
So the original drainage was taken up by a shed?
From the looks of the topo that Mr. Farzano sent me, and also just looking at USGS maps, it looked like the ditch basically used to be right where that 24-inch pipe was and went down to the lake. And looking at aerial photographs on Google Earth, that shed wasn't there on any of them, and it was just trees going along where the ditch shows up in the topography.
Where is the original drainage, where does it originate that the water's going through this ditch? Is it coming off of a county road, or is it just
It's coming off the
nearby
county.
property?
I assume Raymond Finch is a county road, and I'm trying to remember the acreage on the other side of Raymond Finch Road. It seems like it was about 6 acres or so on the other side of Raymond Finch Road. We used a tool on USGS that picks watersheds, and based on USGS topo, and it was probably, I'm just going off memory here, it might have been 5 or 6 acres that drains. It's all wooded acreage on the other side of the road, and there's a 24-inch pipe underneath the road that conveys the water from one
Okay.
side of the road to the other.
So the 24-inch pipe under the road is taking care of the drainage from the wooded property?
Yes, from the other side of the
It goes
road.
under the county road,
Yes, sir.
but it's not a county ditch that's dumping the water into it per se? Or is it a combination?
Well, I mean, it's not, there's water coming from the county road, because there's roadside ditches also that drain into that ditch.
Okay.
Because the watershed goes up, probably, just guessing, a quarter mile up Raymond Finch Road, but there's a corner in Raymond Finch Road, it doesn't appear that the water really comes from that side. Most of it's from opposite direction, but it comes in a roadside ditch, and there's a couple culverts at the driveways on this property that convey the water into the roadside ditch. So it's picking up water from the county ditch, from the county property, but most of the water's coming from the property on the other side of Raymond Finch Road.
And how many landowners own the property between that ditch and the lake?
I think there's just one property owner, I believe. Is that right, Mike? Yeah.
Is this Mike, I briefly mentioned this, has the landowner affected by this, have they shown that they would be acceptable to this proposal?
I have not discussed this with Ms. Bradley. She is here this evening to either voice her acceptance or disapproval.
I mean, in the proposal, I think what we're proposing to do is get a survey done so we can locate the ditch and all of the slopes and whatnot, and then we would grade it out with some slopes that would be more maintainable and allow grass to grow on it, or possibly put riprap. It would depend on the slope of the ditch. We'd have to do engineering calculation to determine if it needs to be lined with riprap, or just seeding will help, or some kind of matting.
But ultimately, all this drainage water will eventually end up in the lake
Yes, sir.
across that.
Yes. And I think Mike had said there was some discussion about piping part of it. I mean, whatever it would, we'd have to do see what the topo looks like, and how much, do the engineering calculations to see what we could do to keep that ditch stable.
Any more questions?
I'd just like to clarify a couple items. Thank you, Mr. Resch.
So in the proposal that the committee was presented, this is basically an open ditch along the county right-of-way. There's also a ditch that goes from the county right-of-way along the sideline of the property to the lake. The county is not going to do anything with that. It's on private property. What Mr. Resch has proposed, it's a $21,000 engineering fee to ensure that we build the ditch along the right-of-way in a proper manner according to SCDOT specs. So that would be a trapezoidal ditch. We would armor the sides of the ditch with riprap so that they don't get washed out as the water does come through. We'll put check dams as necessary and make sure that the slope goes to the lake.
Y'all are working on it now?
Not yet, no, sir. Any other questions?
I don't know how the other committee members feel about it, but personally, since we're talking about drainage from a county road and drainage from private property and crossing private property, before I think we should proceed with this engineering effort, we need to make, I personally feel like I need to know our legal position on this as far as how it our rights and our responsibilities legally here, because it, you know, we're talking, seems like some private property, public property, some things that I don't think that I could go along with spending this engineering money without understanding what our responsibilities are and fairly to the landowner and to the county.
Yes, sir.
And so maybe we need to go into executive session and get some legal opinion on this. I don't know, how do the other council members feel about it?
Yeah, I'd like to explore what liability we have towards it, to be honest with you.
Good motion for executive session, do we have time?
Well, then I would make a motion to, for our committee to go into executive session for legal advice.
The motion second, we go into immediate executive session briefly. We report out of executive session.
I'll report out of executive session, Mr. Chairman. We went into executive session to receive some legal advice concerning the issue with drainage on the property we've been discussing. No action was taken.
Thank you. Anything else?
We got some of that, want to speak.
Do we have time? Do we have the time to do it tonight? We in county time now?
Soon after 11, yes.
Okay. Jean. Carlisle and Associates.
I have already spoken.
Okay. Paula Spurs.
Sorry.
Paula Spradlin and Tommy Baggett.
I am the property owner at 46 Raymond Finch, and I have been trying to get this ditch issue taken care of since 2010. I think on the documentation y'all have maybe like 2013. The pipe that's underneath the road was put in apparently by the people who developed the neighborhood back in the 70s, which is an engineer from the state has already been out and said that was the wrong kind of pipe under the road. It's not the right kind of pipe goes under the road, which has now since rotted and is caving in. The water that's coming through my property does come from drainage ditches that are off the county road on both sides of the property. I'm not saying that the water's not coming from some private property across the street because, it all slopes downhill, but the majority of that water does come from the road into those ditches, and it's draining into one central location, which is in that pipe that is the wrong side pipe that has caved in and is coming through my property and has damaged my property. But the fact that the gentleman that they had, the engineer, stating that that was coming across private property, there is a 15-foot drainage easement that is on the property, my property, and the property adjacent to mine, right beside it. So there, and it says on the paperwork, drainage easement. So there is already an easement through there for this drainage ditch. There is not a right-of-way where the county is dumping the water. There's not a right-of-way where that pipe shoots that water out on my property. And the building that he spoke of was on my property. The water that's coming through the property is not my water. And it is destroying my property. Not only that, the building that is still there at the water, I wasn't aware that this was going to be this kind of meeting. The Public Works didn't let me in on the whole thing here. Had I known that this was kind of meeting, I could have brought evidence and showed y'all again the water that's coming through there. It would knock you down, coming down through there. And I have 3 grandchildren who play there in that yard. And when that water is coming through, a grown man can't stand up there. I am asking the county to take care of their water. It's not my water. It's my property that's been destroyed, and it's my grandchildren's lives that's being put in danger, along with anybody else's lives that comes through there when that water's coming through there. The ditch that is there now, it's there because from 2010 to 2021, the water still hasn't been taken care of. So it has been put there to divert some of that water from destroying anything else, because I have a building that it has already washed the foundation out of underneath it. I'm not asking them to pay for the damages that's been done to both of my buildings. I'm asking the county to take care of their water, to put it on the easement. They have an easement there. Get the water to your easement. And that going across private property, I'll do whatever I gotta do, to help with the situation. I just need it fixed. I mean, I think from 2010 to 2021, I've been very patient. And this is Tommy Baggett, and he's been helping me through this whole ordeal since 2010, trying to get this water away from my buildings that it's destroying.
I'm Tommy Baggett with J&H Grading and Paving from Aiken, South Carolina. I've rerouted the ditch, just like the gentleman said, and to put her pad up there for her building, because it's running through the property probably 30 feet from where it should be on the property line, which is, there's an easement there. And we dug a ditch there to reroute the water, to get the water over, hoping they would come in, the county put a culvert, the pipe needs to be replaced up underneath the road there, because it is collapsing. You can look up in it and see it's rotting. It's got stuff that's caught up in it. And it is coming off the road, but there's also 50 or 60 acres across the road that's all shedding towards the lake. It's, you know, you getting a certain amount from the roads, but all of it's not coming from the roads. But it is a drainage problem. And with her trying to do what she's done, she was trying to build a new house. Well, it was gonna take so long, so she has put a new house there. But in order for her to do that, she had to get the water over and to get it from a road and out from underneath her house. So there's nobody caused a problem on her property, because everything's still on her property. We rerouted a ditch, and I know now why it was never put on the property line where it needed to, because there's so much rock there. But it can still be some culvert put there, a couple of boxes, and piped to daylight, regardless of whether it's piped all the way to the lake or not. So that's what needs to happen. It needs to get to her right away to give her the freedom of her property that she pays taxes on.
How far is it from where this pipe discharges on your property to where the easement, drainage easement is?
Well, to start with, it was about 30 feet or so.
But that's along the along the road?
No, Sue, right there, where the pipe comes across, it's not really where I built the pad out, and then I dug a ditch around it. It's a couple of feet or so deep right there. I guess a little deeper because it goes in the incline, so it's got to be deeper there. And she was making a driveway over there to come into her house. But originally, when it was first run across there, where the water there was really no ditch there, it was just sheep flowing across her yard. And then it was running down to the lake. But it was about 30, it's about 30 feet or so. I had measured it at one time.
I don't want, we're already past our allocated time for our committee meeting. I know you have been very patient. This has gone on for quite some time. I'm going to ask you to be a little more patient, and please get with Mike. I can't visualize all this too well, but I would personally like to ride down with Mike, see it, and see where the easement is. If you've got a plat
Yes, sir.
with an easement on it, I'd like to see that. And then we can get a better idea of maybe what our engineering cost would be to move that drainage system down to where the easement is. And we'd like to be able to get a mutually agreeable solution to this that helps you out, that doesn't overburden the county. Could I ask y'all to have a meeting and let me know, and I will attend. We will come up with a.
So could I be a part of that meeting?
No, I'm asking you.
At the property? Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Had I known that this was what This was the first, it was my understanding it was a private meeting between us. I didn't know it was like a big blown-out meeting.
No,
but
this-
Had I known it, I'd have brought the plat with me. I feel very unprepared. I was not told.
pictures.
I had pictures and plats.
We could take a look at that, but there's nothing like putting eyes on the
Okay,
building, so I'd like.
so, sure,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with us having a meeting there. That would be great.
So, if that's acceptable for y'all, I think that was the only thing on our
Yes.
agenda.
Okay,
So if y'all will set up that meeting, I will,
Just bear with us just a little bit longer.
okay, thank you.
I'd like to put my eyes on it as well, so.
All right, thank you.
We got two more on here to speak. Henry,
Thank you.
Henry,
Yep.
how do you say your last name, sir?
Maynard.
Manus.
Patrick Pitts.
I agree with them, I'm with them, so I'm good, I don't need.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And then Pat Nance.
Pat Pitts.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to get up, but due to the time schedule tonight,
Thank you, sir, very much. We'll take this under advisory from the board, and we'll present it to council necessarily. Have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
all right.
Thank you so much.